I never thought I'd be the guy sitting here, pouring all this out, but I guess I need to get it off my chest. My name's Mike, and I've been married to Lisa for about 6 years now. We met in college, both of us ambitious, driven, convinced we'd have a picture-perfect life. Or at least that's what I thought. At first, everything seemed fine. She was ambitious too, wanted a good career, a nice house, maybe a kid or two eventually. I was in the military, serving as a JAG officer, which meant a lot of late nights and stressful days, but she was always supportive. Tell me how proud she was of my service, how she knew I'd do great things. That was the Lisa I fell in love with. But somewhere along the way, things started to shift. Little signs at first. She'd be on her phone more often, hiding it when I entered the room, and when I asked what she was doing, she'd brush me off with a quick, "Nothing, just scrolling social media." Then she started canceling plans last minute, saying she was busy with work, even though I knew her job wasn't that demanding all the time. She used to be clingy, always wanting to cuddle or say "I love you," but suddenly that faded into something distant. I chalked it up to stress or just her being busy, because I didn't want to believe it was anything else. The biggest red flag was her changing habits. She'd leave the house at odd hours, never really giving a solid explanation. She'd come back tired, secretive, and sometimes with lipstick smudges I didn't recognize. I tried to brush it off, convincing myself I was paranoid, but deep down I felt uneasy. I'd catch her in little lies. Like one time she said she was going to a friend's house, but I found her at some nightclub downtown, laughing with a guy I didn't know. She told me she was just out with her coworker, Jenna, but I saw the way she looked at that guy, and I knew it wasn't just friendly flirting. Then came the incident that really shook me. I was at work, deep in the middle of a court-martial case, when I got a call from a fellow officer, Lieutenant Daniels. He sounded tense, almost embarrassed. He told me he saw Lisa last night and the way they were together. It wasn't just friendly texting or quick meetings. He saw her in a hotel lobby, holding hands with some guy, and they looked pretty damn intimate. I was stunned. It was like someone had ripped my guts out. I couldn't believe it. My wife, the woman I trusted, was cheating on me with some guy she said was just a friend, or really just a coworker. That's when I realized the woman I loved was capable of lying to my face. I remember feeling numb, then furious. All the nights I stayed up worrying, all the little doubts I brushed aside, everything made sense now. I wasn't just paranoid. She was out there, sneaking around, betraying everything we built. The worst part, I didn't even have proof of my own, just what Daniels told me, but I knew. I could feel it deep down. That's when I decided I had to confront her, but I also knew I needed to plan carefully. Whatever I said next had to hit her hard, because I wasn't the kind of guy who'd be played like this. But more than that, I needed to understand, how could she betray me like this? After all we'd been through, after all I'd done for her, it was like my whole world was crashing down, and I'd never felt so stupid and angry at the same time. I waited a few days, trying to gather my thoughts and calm that storm of emotions swelling inside me. Every time I thought about confronting her, I'd get overwhelmed, anger, betrayal, sadness. It was like a tornado turning inside my head. But I knew I couldn't leave it alone forever. So one evening I decided I'd catch her in the act, or at least get her to admit something. I got home early that night, knowing she'd probably be at her usual hangout spot. I didn't want to go straight into an accusation. I just wanted to see her, watch her, get a sense of her mood, her behavior. She was supposed to start her usual work late routine again, but I had planted a little GPS tracker on her car. Not proud of it, but I needed proof, and I wasn't going to be played anymore. I kept an eye on her location from my phone, feeling like I was about to walk into a trap. When she finally pulled into the driveway, she looked a little different, more confident, maybe even smug. She strutted past me with that irritating smirk, acting like she didn't have a care in the world. I played it cool, acting like I was just happy to see her. But my stomach was twisting. I told her I needed to talk, that it was important. Her eyes flicked over me, that bitchy smirk returning. "Whatever it is, Mike, I don't have time for your drama," she snapped. "Can we just get this over with?" I pressed her for where she'd been, and she spun some bullshit about a last-minute meeting with her boss, which I knew was a lie. The GPS said she'd been at that nightclub again, the same one she'd lied about before, with that same guy I saw her with. I was boiling inside, but I kept my calm. I told her I knew she'd been lying to me, that I had proof she was cheating. Her face twisted into this bitchy glare. "You're crazy, Mike. You've always been paranoid. Who cares if I went out with some friends? You're just insecure." That was the moment I realized how good she was at lying. She was so nonchalant about it, like she was entitled to cheat and lie no matter what I thought. I felt the anger spike, but I kept my voice steady. "Don't lie to me anymore, Lisa. I know what I saw and I know what Daniels told me. I deserve better than this bullshit." Her reaction was to roll her eyes and snap. "Oh, so now Daniels is your judge? That guy's just a damn soldier, not some saint. You're overreacting as usual. You're always so controlling and paranoid. Maybe you're the one cheating, huh? Maybe I should be the one sneaking around." That hit me hard. I'd never heard her accuse me of cheating, never even crossed my mind. But her words cut through me like a knife. She was deflecting, trying to turn everything around, making me doubt myself. That's what a good liar does, I guess. She kept insisting she was innocent, that I was the one with the problem, and I realized she was just trying to push me away. I felt my fists tighten, my chest heaving with anger. I told her I'd had enough, that I wasn't going to stay quiet anymore. I threatened to dig deeper, to find the truth if I had to. She just laughed, that bitchy laugh that made me want to smash something. I knew then that I couldn't trust her anymore, not really. She was a snake, and I was just finally seeing her venom. That night I sat alone, staring at the ceiling, replaying everything she said. The lies, the sneaking around, the way she looked at that guy, it all added up. But underneath it all I felt something else, a mix of heartbreak and rage. I'd always thought I was the steady one, the dependable guy, but now I felt like I was falling apart. How did I let it get this far? How did I miss the signs? All I knew was I had to decide what to do next. Because the woman I loved, the woman I swore to protect, was gone, replaced by someone I didn't even recognize. And it hurt more than I thought my pride could handle. The days that followed were a blur of sleepless nights, an intense reflection. I couldn't believe I'd been so blind, so trusting her, trusting that we had something real. The betrayal cut deep, sharper than any enemy bullet I'd faced in a courtroom or on the field. Lisa had always been a bitchy, manipulative woman, but I had convinced myself she loved me enough to stay faithful. Turns out, I was just another fool in her game. I started digging into her phone, finding texts and messages that confirmed everything. She'd been lying from the start. There were photos, secret messages, plans made in haste, proof that she'd been cheating on me for months, maybe longer, her excuses, all lies. She claimed she was just confused, that she didn't mean to hurt me, that it was just sex. Yeah, just sex with the guy I'd seen her with at that hotel lobby, the same one she said she barely knew. The more I found, the more I realized how deep her deception ran. It was like peeling back layers of a toxic onion. I also learned she'd been parading around, pretending to be the perfect wife while secretly sneaking off to meet her lover. She was a master manipulator, lying to friends, lying to her family, even lying to herself. I started to see her for who she really was, a controlling, selfish woman who thought she could get away with anything. The worst part, she had no remorse. Every excuse she threw at me was bullshit. She'd say I was insecure, that I didn't trust her. But the truth was, I was the only one who ever truly trusted her. And now, I felt like a fool for ever believing she'd be faithful. Confronting her again seemed pointless. She'd spin her lies, deny everything, and gaslight me into questioning my own sanity. I was sick of it. I knew I had to do something drastic. I needed to teach her a lesson, show her that a man's pride isn't something you toy with. When I told her I was done, that I knew everything, she just shrugged and said, "Whatever, Mike. You're overreacting. If you're so insecure, maybe you're the one with a problem." That was her way: dodge, deny, manipulate. But I wasn't going to let her keep doing it. I started to plan my revenge. Not the childish kind, more calculated, more satisfying. I wanted her to see what she lost, what her lies had cost her. I decided to take control of the situation, to make sure she felt the full weight of her betrayal. I knew I couldn't just walk away quietly. No, I needed her to understand that her actions weren't just hurtful, they were destructive. My pride, my respect, Everything I'd built was on the line now, and I was determined to reclaim it. The first step was to gather everything I needed: proof, evidence, a solid plan. I'd already started, but I needed to go further. I started talking to a few people who knew her secrets, people she thought she could manipulate. I laid out my story, told them what I knew, and asked for their help. Some were sympathetic, others indifferent, but one thing was clear: this wasn't going to be easy. Lisa was a bitchy, cunning woman, and she'd fight back hard. I knew she'd try to deny everything, spin her lies even more convincingly, but I had no choice. I had to finish what I started. My mind kept racing back to that hotel lobby, that moment when I saw her with that guy, so close, so intimate. I saw her face, the sneer she gave me when I confronted her. It was like she believed she was untouchable, that she could cheat and lie without consequence. But I wasn't going to let her get away with it. I was done being the soft, trusting husband. From now on, I was the man who fought back, who made her pay for her lies. I didn't care if it cost me everything. I'd make sure she knew that betrayal has a price. And I was just getting started. I spent that night lying awake, piecing everything together. Every betrayal, every lie, every moment she thought she got away with it. I realized that she wasn't just cheating. She was also trying to run my life, control everything about me. That's what made it so much worse. It wasn't just a fling. It was her way of asserting dominance, of proving she was untouchable. That bitchy attitude of hers, acting like she was the queen, the one in charge, it all made sense now. She thought she could get away with anything because she was so damn good at lying, at manipulating everyone around her. I knew I had to get her back. But I wasn't just going to expose her. I wanted her to feel what she'd done to me, the deep pain, the loss of trust, the betrayal that would leave scars. Her lying had turned our marriage into a lie itself, and I was sick of being the fool who stayed quiet while she played her games. I wanted her to see that behind all her bitchy smirks and false smiles, there was a man who was finally waking up to her true self, and I was done being her fool. So I started executing my plan. I reached out to that guy she'd been with, the so-called coworker she claimed was just a friend. I wanted to know everything: how long they'd been seeing each other, what they did, how she acted around him. Turns out they'd been at it for months. I also discovered he was just some small-time guy she met at that nightclub, a guy who liked to think he was a player but was really just a pawn. I cracked his code, got some texts, and learned where she met him, how she kept it all secret. It was disgusting, honestly. I didn't think I'd ever feel this angry, this betrayed in my entire life. Next, I started to plan my confrontation. I wanted something she'd never forget. I wasn't about to just scream and yell like some fool. I wanted to make her sweat, make her realize that her actions had consequences. I decided to set a trap, confront her with hard evidence, in a place where she'd be vulnerable. I set up hidden cameras, planted some fake accidental messages, and made sure I had everything ready to blow her world apart in one perfect moment. The day came when I knew she'd be at her usual hangout, meeting her lover again. I waited outside, watching her arrive with that smug look, knowing I'd finally have the upper hand. I approached her with everything laid out on my phone, the pictures, the texts, the proof I'd been collecting. When I showed her, her face first drained of color, then twisted into rage. She started to deny everything, call me crazy, scream that I was stalking her. But I wasn't having it. I told her I had enough of the lies, enough of her manipulations. She looked at me with that bitchy glare, trying to act innocent, but I could see right through her. That's when she snapped, started calling me insecure, jealous, obsessive. She told me I was just a control freak and that she deserved freedom. That was the last straw. I told her she was a liar, a cheat, and a manipulator, and I was done with her bullshit. I informed her that I had all the proof I needed, that I was going to end this farce. Her entire face twisted with rage and contempt as she tried to argue, but I stood my ground. I was finally done playing nice. After that, everything changed. She stormed off, calling me every name in the book, but I didn't care. I felt a strange mixture of relief and anger. Relief because I had finally faced the truth. Anger because I had wasted so much time trusting her when I shouldn't have. I knew then that this wasn't just a marriage ending. It was a lesson learned. Don't ever underestimate how deep someone's betrayal can cut, and don't let anyone make you feel like your worth is tied to their lies. I was done being the fool. It was time to reclaim my dignity and move on. In the days that followed, I felt like I was living in a different world. The house was too quiet, too empty, and every corner seemed to remind me of her lies. I couldn't shake the feeling of betrayal, but at the same time, a strange sense of clarity started to settle in. I realized I had been so focused on her cheating, so blinded by the pain, that I'd neglected my own worth. This was a wake-up call I badly needed, though I'd never admit it aloud. I started making plans, not just to divorce her but to rebuild myself. I wanted her to see I wasn't just some pushover who'd get played and forget about it. I'd been a soldier my whole life, but I'd never fought a battle like this, one where I had to defend my own dignity. I knew I had to be strategic. I reached out to a lawyer I'd trusted before, told him everything, and asked for advice on how to proceed with the divorce. I wanted this over quickly, cleanly, but I also wanted her to feel the full weight of what she'd lost. Meanwhile, she was still trying to play her manipulative games. She'd call, scream, cry, try to guilt-trip me into taking her back. Her voice was full of bitchy sarcasm, accusing me of being the one at fault. She said I was too paranoid, trust issues, and that she'd never cheat on me. Yeah, right. I'd heard enough of her lies to last a lifetime. The more she argued, the more I saw her for what she was, a woman who thought she could do whatever she wanted, then come back and act like nothing happened. One day, I decided to confront her face to face. I told her I knew everything, the texts, the hotel, the secret meetings. I told her I was done playing her game, done being her fool. I wanted her to see how much her lies had destroyed us. She just looked at me with that bitchy smirk, trying to act innocent, but I was past caring. I told her I was filing for divorce, that I'd be better off without her manipulations and lies. She shouted back, calling me insecure, controlling, crazy, anything to twist the story to her favor. Honestly, her reaction was almost amusing. I'd expected tears or guilt, but instead she was angry, defiant, furious that I'd finally caught her. She said she'd ruin me if I left her, that nobody would want a loser like me. That only pissed me off even more, because the truth is I'd never been more sure of myself. I'd served my country, fought for justice, and now I was fighting for my own dignity. She broken the only thing that mattered, the trust we once had. But I was done giving her the power to do that. So I packed my bags that day, walked out of that house, and left her standing there, still trying to spin her lies. I knew I was heading into a tough, uncertain future, but I also knew I was finally free. Free from her bitchy attitude, her manipulations, her lies. I never believed in revenge until now, but part of me wanted her to feel how it was to be betrayed, to be discarded by someone she thought was hers forever. I wanted her to realize that cheating and lying come with consequences. And I was the one who was going to deliver them. I'm not perfect, but I do know one thing: I'm better off without her, and I'll spend the rest of my life making sure I never get played like that again. Now that I've moved out and started rebuilding my life, I can honestly say I've learned more than I ever thought I would from this whole mess. Betrayal cuts deep, hell, it almost kills your trust in everything. But I've come to realize that sometimes you have to lose something to truly understand your worth. Lisa's betrayal was a punch to the gut, but it also woke me up. I've learned that no matter how bitchy or manipulative someone is, you don't have to stay and take it. You can stand up, walk away, and come out stronger. Looking back, I see how much I let her walk all over me because I wanted to believe in the woman I married. But her lying, her cheating, those things weren't about me. They were about her, her insecurities, her need for validation, her control issues. I feel angry still, sure, but mostly I feel relief. Relief that I finally see her for what she really was, a manipulative, selfish woman who thought she could get away with anything. This whole experience has taught me to never ignore the red flags, to listen to that voice inside that says something's wrong. Trust isn't something I'll give lightly again, not until I see real change. And I've realized that my value isn't determined by someone who cheats and manipulates. I'm a good man, a soldier who fought for justice, and I won't let her or anyone else take that away from me. So, for anyone out there dealing with deception and heartbreak, here's what I want you to remember. You're stronger than you think. Betrayal hurts, but it can also be a catalyst for growth. Don't let anyone make you feel less than you are. Be honest with yourself, cut out the bullshit, and move on. Because life's too short to be stuck in someone else's lie. If I've learned anything from all this, it's that the truth might be bitter, but it's also the only thing that sets you free.